Where are all those peace symbols now when we need them? When I visualize where the peace symbols of the 60s and 70s are now, I am reminded of those frightening photos of stacks of Jewish shoes and eyeglasses at the death camps created by the German army during World War II. I envisage that somewhere there are millions of peace symbols stacked up to the ceiling of a remote barn, having been stolen at night from tired 60s and 70s protesters by a keep-the-war-going militia that nobody knows about yet. This may not be the best analogy, but we are still talking about life and death. It's just hard for me to believe that all those 60s and 70s protesters wouldn't start wearing those symbols and raising their voices. It's their kids who are in these two wars. For God's sakes, what better time? The only peace necklace I've seen are around the necks of kids that look like they were 60 hippies. Seems like more of a fashion statement than a symbol of protest. I don't know if you remember way back to the 60s and 70s where there were so many peace symbols around necks, on bumpers, painted everywhere today's graffiti is painted. I remember when my Marine squadron HMH 361 flew off the deck of the helicopter landing pad of the USS New Orleans on our first flight into Vietnam. I looked over the door gunner's shoulder of the CH-53 helicopter and saw a huge peace symbol painted on a gigantic seashore rock. Sorry to say, it symbolized nothing of what my tour of duty in Nam was like. What's different about the lives of today's young people? Is it that we don't have a draft so they don't have to worry about death by war being part of their future? Are all the war protesters too tired to show up? Are these wars somehow different, more just than Vietnam? Is it because we had 9/11, which broke through the denial of what war is really about? Have our kids been brought up on so much daily violence and government corruption that any hope to change the system has been lost? I really don't know.